Good afternoon, everybody. Hope you all are doing well. My name is Matthew Folse, and I am the Scholarly Communications Librarian. Today, I'm going to be giving a presentation called Up and Coming Open Access Tools. This presentation is being recorded and will be uploaded shortly afterwards to the library's YouTube channel. So, on the agenda today, I'm going to be talking about these two open access tools you see in front of you, and then a little about open access book industry, and then a servicer slash tool from that sort of arena. But specifically, I'll be mostly talking about OpenCitations as well as OpenAlex. They both do kind of similar things, but like with a very different focus, so I'm excited to show you all. So OpenCitations is, I want to say everything as well as from a lot of these organizations are all under Creative Commons licensing, which I provide a bibliography at the end. Anything on the screen that is from a website or a presentation that is under Creative Commons licensing, I've included a little reminder just in the corner of the slide so everyone can see. But to get started, OpenCitations is a community-guided open science infrastructure with the mission to harvest and openly publish accurate and comprehensive metadata describing the world's academic publications and the scholarly citations that link them. So this is primarily managed by the Research Center for the Openly Scholarly Metadata out of the University of Bologna in Italy. OpenCitation primarily indexes Crossref, DataCite, the NIH Open Citation Collection, OpenAIR, or JALC, the Japan Link Center, and it contains something like nearly 2.5 billion citations. So then OpenCitations has its own data model inside of the data set. Oh, this is like... So the OCDM focuses on this idea of the semantic web, which we can otherwise describe as Web 3.0. It's this idea to make the data scattered across the internet more discoverable, accessible, and interoperable, and not just by us humans. OpenCitations focuses on specifically taking records of scholarly works and connecting them, their entities or their metadata, to make them more easily machine readable as well. So the data set being compiled by OpenCitations, it is a collection to model the complex web of citations that exist between published bibliographic resources. So each time a scholarly work cites another scholarly work, it would be assigned something called an OCI by OpenCitations, kind of like a DOI, a digital object identifier, for those of you familiar with that. This OCI is meant to represent a permanent link between the citing record and the cited record. Modeling the provenance of scholarly works is one of like the huge undertakings of open science in general. Plenty of other organizations are also work to model this information, including the other tool I'm going to be talking about called OpenAlex, but also Crossref, which is one of the largest DOI citing organizations or minting organizations, also provides its own cited by service, trying to link this cited information using DOIs as well. And some advocate that as the models of scholarly provenance become more accurate, that they could be much more important for weighting impact metrics for things like journals, or for better modeling like a researchers like H-index, for instance. But so let's move into our live demo. So this is OpenCitations homepage. I'm going to be going back. You can go to see the help us, its data model, but I'm going to be focusing on querying data today. So this is kind of like a search engine. This one's sort of interesting. This is like a Sparkle endpoint. So you would just kind of hit play here. It has a built-in search already sort of thrown in there. And this is the sort of response that it would produce, or one of several responses that it could produce for you. So it shows you a link from the citation, as well as the citing entity. So these are two records that it holds. It tells you what it is, the document, it's an article, the title of the document, its publication date, and plenty of its other identifying information. But then there's this on the left column, the citation, which shows that here in the URL, or here at the very top of the page where it says OCI, this is that number I was talking about before that it gets assigned. Each number in this string is referencing a specific citation or a scholarly work, and linking them together by the cited and the citing by entity. So we can go back and also go to the OpenCitations index search interface. This is kind of doing the same thing. It's a little cleaner to use, but it also has some pre-built searches, which we're just going to go ahead and hit and talk about. This is searching a DOI, and it's showing the citing entity. Let me see. It's like it's not working today. It's usually generates, it's showing the correct columns, but it's only generating the partial columns, unfortunately. But it does sort of the same thing as that previous query does. It displays, here we go. Now it's filling in. So it's showing you the full cited entity, the citing entry, as well as the ID, the OCI number that's being generated for it. So the citing entity is this record that's being cited by the cited entity shown in the right column. And you can also just click this and it shows the full records here, the OCI number that's being given to this article that's being cited by this article, or the inverse. So that's OpenCitations. So let's move on to the next part of our presentation, talking about OpenAlex. So everything through OpenAlex is CC0 in public domain. If you want to go on their website and look at their code, just sort of like we did with OpenCitations and everything, do with it what you will. But more about OpenAlex is its founding is sort of meant to aggregate scholarly knowledge broadly across a spectrum, and it's sort of gently named after the Library of Alexandria, as you might have guessed. It's modeled on what is now the defunct Microsoft Academic Graph, which is the basis of OpenAlex's model. Graph in this instance is relating to graph theory, the study of modeling relationships between objects. And I'll say OpenCitations, as you might have guessed, is a largely European project, and OpenAlex is a US-based nonprofit, although it has deep connections with many of the same European partners that OpenCitations does. And as I stated before, OpenAlex and OpenCitations have sort of similar goals, but very different directions. So index and comparisons. OpenAlex indexes across a variety of scholarly fields and a diverse range of research outputs. It aggregates and standardizes the data from those sources. OpenAlex also has an emphasis on including work not just from the global north, and something like almost a third of its database are specifically non-English works or works from outside of North America and like Western Europe. And so I'll show you in just a sec. Oh yeah, it's regularly compared to Scopus and Web of Science in its holdings, which I'll show and some searching as well as some screenshots here. So these are from OpenAlex itself. So this is where it generates most of its data set and its model. So here it references MAG, Microsoft Academic Graph, and Crossref, but also indexes information from ORCID, RORs, which are institutional identifiers. DOAJ is the directory of open access journals, a sister organization called Unpaywall, PubMed, ISSNs, and also specific repositories from the sort of open archive world, Zenodo, which is data sets and other information. So, and then in comparison to other scholarly data sources, you can look at comparisons between OpenAlex to Scopus, Web of Science, Dimensions, Google Scholar, and then also Crossref, and show the type of organization, how its information, how open it is, how many open access works they have, all that sort of stuff. But this is also something I quick took from one of their pages. This shows the idea of, I've been talking a lot about entities or objects and metadata and scholarly works. So the idea is you kind of have the full scholarly record. And we have all these other influencing entities which we're trying to model how they relate to each other in final works, but then also how these smaller bubbles sort of relate to each other as well. And OpenCitations kind of does the same thing. So let's back out one more time, and we'll head right into OpenAlex. So rather than show off just a straight search, I'm going to show off Louisiana State University Health Sciences Center in New Orleans. This is sort of interesting search. So this shows you, it shows that we've been searching for an institution, is or is not. So there's some Boolean operating stuff. So it breaks it down by works on the left-hand column, but also on the right-hand side generates this report about data it's collected about either the works or all the other related access. So it shows the amount of articles cataloged that are open access, the time periods, general topics. Here shows the specific institution, the type of article or scholarly work gets grabbed. We can break down or sort some of these works in different ways. And the greatest thing is you can even export the results to yourself in different formats. And even in this right-hand column, you can add or subtract different things you want to look at. I think this one is sort of interesting. You can generate an APC sum of what authors may have, on average have paid for publishing open access. There's tons of more interesting other ways you can add things to here. Once again, from the global South, so you can search for things specifically outside of traditional Western context, maybe by publisher, by source, by other topics. And then if you've generated what you want to look at here on the right, you can also export something for yourself here. So it generates a little CSV that you can download and look at that information. So I think this is a great tool that kind of models all this information together and also shows you all the aggregate works from the institution itself. So, and then the other section I want to look at is analytics. So these are ways you can specifically query OpenAlex's data set in sort of unique ways and sort of ask it unique questions. And they've put in some, unfortunately, we can't do this as this is a service that's only in its alpha, but it has it here as an example to show off. And they've done so in some of their other promotional materials. But you could look up, which Diamond OA journals do researchers in Mexico publish in, and it would create all the sort of search of its data set and provides you that answer. So I think it's sort of an interesting way to also look at the same sort of scholarly data that it's aggregating in these unique sort of ways. So let's go back to our presentation for the final portion. So I'm going to talk a little about some open access books. There's largely been a significant or existing industry for about 20 years. There are quite a few open access book publishers and different university presses. And there's new and developing revenue models to build these industries, as well as a number of organizations committed to this sort of open future, specifically through open access books. So here's just a few of the major catalogs that I've sort of found going through. These are all linked here in this presentation, which I'm sure the slides will be available for. Here's another slide just to sort of give you an idea of kind of what's out there. And this is sort of really just the big stuff sitting out the top that I found doing my research. And then here's Tome. Tome is towards an open monograph ecosystem. It's mostly an initiative of the Association of American Universities, the Association of Research Libraries, and the Association of University Presses. It was founded in 2017 and concluded itself in 2022 after completing its 5-year plan, but it managed to get over 60 participating universities to create resources for OA publishers and other university presses. Then there was the other organization called COPUM, stands for the Community-Led Open Publication Infrastructure for Monographs, which existed from 2019 to 2023. And after its conclusion, it spawned the next iteration called Open Book Futures, which is this manages these three following categories, basically in the same way, and is looking to do the same sort of investigation that COPIM had been doing. There's the Open Book Collective, which is a charity that helps funding streams, Opening the Future, which is about finding innovating funding models, and then just opening the future, or excuse me, and then the tool slash service I kind of wanted to show off more than anything is the Thoth Metadata, which came from COPIM as well. So these are the kind of services that Thoth generally provides in open access book publishing, but it does have a free service in which you can request that Thoth create metadata records for your book. It won't do any of the other publishing or streamlining services that it might offer for a paid service, but it will generate all the metadata records at no personal cost to you, the author, which I thought is great to show off. So then I'm going to show specifically just the Thoth archiving network. This is just freely available on the Internet Archive, but here's something like over just 900 books that they've, in just a few years, have created metadata records for and distribute openly on the Internet Archive. And this is just one of those catalogs, essentially, that I showed earlier, of which there was at least 10 more of similar, if not larger sized projects. So that's pretty much it for today. Here's my bibliography of everything that I looked up and linked to. Here's contact information for the library as well as myself. Once again, I'm Matthew Folson, I'm the Scholarly Communications Librarian. Here's some QR codes, which I'll leave up for a moment. Presentation feedback form, if you'd be so kind to fill it out. The library email sign up, if you'd like to get updates once or twice a month about goings on in the library, as well as the library's Instagram, which you can follow for more day-to-day updates and other information about the libraries.